Imagine this. A chandelier burns bright above polished marble floors. Laughter echoes, glasses clink, a room filled with wealth so heavy it suffocates. And yet, beneath all that glitter, a shadow moves silently. A man, dark-skinned, dressed in a janitor's uniform, bent over polishing the same tile where billionaires tread without looking down. They don't see him. They never see him. But then, something happens. A woman's voice cuts through the noise, sharp, mocking. "You there?" she says, her fingers snapping like she's summoning a servant. The crowd turns. And suddenly, the room that never noticed him before is watching. Their smiles twist into sneers. Their whispers sting like knives. She points to the grand piano at the center of the hall. Its surface gleams, untouched, waiting. "They say you used to play," she taunts. "Why don't you show us? Play better than my hired pianist. And maybe, just maybe, we'll believe you're more than a broom in a bucket." Gasps ripple through the room. Some laugh. Others sip champagne, eyes narrowing, eager for humiliation. And for the first time, the janitor lifts his head. His eyes are not broken, not begging, not beaten. They are steady, piercing. You feel it, don't you? The silence pressing down like a storm about to break. Because this isn't just about music, it isn't about entertainment, it's about centuries of being unseen, centuries of being told to stay in your place. And here's the hook that drags you in. In less than a heartbeat, that janitor will decide whether to bow his head or to stand, walk across that floor and shatter the lie that keeps him invisible. So let me ask you, what would you do if the whole world suddenly dared you to prove you were more than the mask they forced you to wear? He doesn't answer right away. His hand still grips the rag, the smell of bleach clinging to his skin, the taste of silence heavy on his tongue. Oh. The crowd waits, restless, hungry for a scene. They expect him to laugh it off, to shuffle back into the shadows where they believe he belongs. But then he stands, slowly, deliberately, and for the first time, the grand hall feels smaller, as if the marble walls themselves lean in to listen. His uniform may be faded, his shoes worn, but his posture carries something money can't buy, dignity sharpened by struggle. He wipes his hands, sets down the rag, and begins walking toward the piano. Every step echoes like a drumbeat of defiance. The guests whisper, "What is he doing? He's really going up there?" Their amusement twists into discomfort. The pianist shifts uneasily on his bench, glancing at the hostess for approval. She smirks as if she's certain this will end in humiliation. But the janitor doesn't look at her. He doesn't look at any of them. His eyes are fixed on the piano, as if the instrument itself is calling him home. And here's where truth collides with illusion. This man wasn't born with a mop in his hand. Long before they locked him in the role of invisible worker, he was something else. A prodigy. A boy who once filled small rooms with sound so powerful that grown men wept. A boy who dreamed of stages he would never stand on, because doors that open easily for some were bolted shut for him. Now those dreams rise from the ashes. The crowd doesn't know it yet, but the man they tried to bury under silence has claws of fire. He reaches the piano, pulls out the bench and sits. For a heartbeat the room holds still, like time itself hesitates, unsure whether to move forward or backward. Then his hands hover above the keys, not trembling, not afraid, just waiting. Waiting for the exact second the world will hear what it tried to erase. And you, watching this right now, can feel it too. The shift, the gathering storm. You know that when those first notes strike, the gishki, is over. The first note drops like thunder in a cathedral, deep, resonant, impossible to ignore. The crowd jolts, laughter caught in their throats. Then comes the second, the third, melodies weaving together with precision too sharp to dismiss, too beautiful to mock. The janitor's fingers move with a command that feels otherworldly. Every key he touches blooms into sound that cuts through silk gowns, gold watches, and carefully curated arrogance. Suddenly, the chandelier's light feels dim compared to the brilliance pouring from those worn hands. Do you hear it? It's not just music, it's memory, it's rage, it's years of swallowing insults and hiding brilliance just to survive. Every chord is a wound torn open and remade into something divine, and as he plays, the energy shifts. Heads turn, glasses lower, whispering stops. Even the professional pianist, the one paid to impress the wealthy, sits frozen, eyes wide with disbelief. The hostess tries to smirk, but her jaw tightens. Her eyes dart, searching for allies in the crowd, but she finds only silence. Because in that moment, no one dares look away. They are prisoners of the truth spilling from those keys. And here's the secret no one in that room wants to admit. Genius doesn't care about uniforms. Talent doesn't ask permission. Dignity doesn't need wealth to exist. It lives in the marrow of those who refuse to bow. His tempo rises, storm becoming hurricane. The sound swells so loud it feels like the marble itself might crack. People clutch their glasses tighter, afraid to breathe, afraid they might miss a single note. Then, just when the room believes it can't handle more, the music softens, gentle, fragile, a melody so intimate it feels like confession. It carries sorrow, yes, but also something more dangerous. Hope. Hope that refuses to die, even in the face of humiliation. You can feel it too, can't you? The goosebumps crawling across your skin, the truth pressing against your chest. Because this isn't a performance, it's a battle. Every measure is a strike against invisibility. Every crescendo a declaration, I am here, I will not disappear. And in that instant, the balance of power begins to shift. The crowd had gathered expecting entertainment. Instead, they are confronted with revelation. You can see it in their faces. First confusion, then awe, then something far more dangerous, recognition. Recognition that the man they dismissed as invisible is not just equal, but greater. Some avert their eyes, ashamed, as if the music is a mirror reflecting their own prejudice back at them. Others lean forward, drawn in by the raw force of it, unable to reconcile the janitor before them with the myth of inferiority they've been taught to believe. A few sneer, their pride too fragile to surrender, whispering excuses to themselves. It's just luck, it's just one song. But deep down, they know the truth is undeniable. The hostess grips her champagne flute tighter, the liquid trembling with her hand. She wanted humiliation. Instead, she has chaos. Her empire of control, built on sneers, on dominance, on quiet reminders of who belongs where, is cracking note by note. And here's where you feel the hook pulling you deeper. This isn't just his moment. It's our moment. Because every man watching this, every man who has ever been underestimated, every man who has been told to know his place, feels the vibration of those keys like a call to arms. Do you know what happens when you strip away a person's dignity for too long? You create a pressure so immense it either destroys them or explodes into brilliance that no one can contain. Tonight, brilliance is winning. One guest, a silver-haired banker, whispers, "My God, he's better than the pianist." His wife hushes him, but the damage is done. The ripple spreads. Words move faster than sound. The truth is breaking free. And the janitor? He doesn't see the panic, the awe, the unraveling hierarchy around him. His eyes are closed, lost inside the music, every note pulling him closer to something pure. He isn't playing for them. He's playing for himself. For the boy he once was. For every locked door. For every insult endured. For every silent battle fought in the shadows. The performance is no longer a challenge. It's a reckoning. And the question hanging in the air is this. When the music stops, will the room go back to pretending, or will the lie they've lived by finally collapse under the weight of truth? The final note lingers in the air like smoke after a fire. His hands rest on the keys, still, steady, refusing to tremble. And then, silence. A silence so heavy it feels like the walls themselves are holding their breath. No applause. Not yet. The crowd is stunned, their faces trapped between awe and guilt. For the first time all evening, they cannot hide behind champagne or empty chatter. They have been stripped bare, exposed by the very man they thought invisible. And in that silence the janitor speaks. His voice is calm, but it cuts sharper than any blade. "You wanted to see if I was more than a mop and a bucket," he says. "Now you know. But let's be honest. This was never about music. This was about power, about humiliation, about reminding me where you think I belong." Gasps ripple through the hall. The hostess stiffens, her smile cracking like porcelain under pressure. She wants to laugh it off, to spin the moment, but the audience is no longer with her. Their eyes are fixed on him. The power she once wielded with a smirk is dissolving in real time. And here's where you lean in closer, because what happens next isn't scripted, it isn't safe. He doesn't bow, he doesn't thank them. Instead, he looks directly at her, the woman who mocked him, the one who believed wealth was armor, and says, "Keep your word, don't mock me with wagers, prove you're not a coward, honor what you promised." The room erupts. Some gasp, others murmur, some cheer under their breath, finally daring to break ranks. The pianist lowers his head, ashamed. The staff in the shadows, the waiters, the cleaners, the cooks, stand taller, their eyes lit with something fierce. For the first time, they feel seen through him. And you can feel it too, can't you? The raw edge of justice clawing at the air. Because this is no longer about one man playing a piano. This is about centuries of silence breaking. This is about a demand that can no longer be ignored. The hostess stares back, cornered, trapped between her pride and the weight of the room pressing against her. She thought this was a game, but tonight the game is over. The hostess forces a laugh, brittle, hollow, echoing too loudly in the stunned room. "It was just a joke," she insists, waving her jeweled hand as though she can swat away the weight of what just happened. "A little fun, nothing serious." But the crowd doesn't laugh with her. Their silence is worse than mockery. It is judgment. The guests exchange looks, unease spreading like wildfire. Because deep down, they know what they witnessed wasn't fun. It was an attempt to humiliate, an act of cruelty disguised as entertainment. And now, with the performance carved into their memories, they cannot deny the truth standing before them. The janitor doesn't flinch. His gaze never breaks. "No," he says simply. "You spoke your word in front of all these people. Words have weight. Promises have consequence. If you truly believe your world is built on class, on rules, then honor the rule you set yourself." His voice resonates like the piano still echoes in their ears, calm, unwavering, undeniable. The room shifts again. Some guests nod slowly, courage rising in them they didn't know they had. Others glance nervously at one another, wondering if they've aligned themselves with the wrong kind of power all along. And here's where you feel the hook tighten. It's no longer about her versus him. It's about truth versus illusion. Because when truth is spoken out loud, it demands an answer. The hostess's face hardens. She tries to summon the old authority in her voice, the one that kept boardrooms silent and servants obedient. "Enough," she snaps. "You're a janitor. You clean floors, nothing more. Don't mistake a moment of pity applause for respect." But even as she says it, her voice wavers. No one laughs with her. No one cheers her on. And for the first time in her life, she feels what he has felt every day: isolation. The janitor doesn't shout, doesn't raise his fists. He doesn't need to. His calm dismantles her fury. "Then prove it," he says again. "Keep your word, or admit here and now that your power means nothing without lies to hold it up." And you, watching this unfold, know exactly what's at stake. Because this moment isn't just about music or a bet or one man's dignity. It's about the fragile scaffolding that holds up an entire system of arrogance and exclusion, and the cracks are widening. A voice rises from the back of the hall, firm, clear. He's right. Heads turn, eyes widen. A guest, an older man in a tailored suit, a name known in finance, steps forward. His words hang in the air like a verdict. You gave your word. We all heard it. Are you saying your promises mean nothing? The ripple spreads. Another voice chimes in, this time a woman draped in silver silk. If a promise made in public is worthless, what about the promises you make to us behind closed doors? She folds her arms, her question aimed like a dagger. Murmurs rise. Doubt fills the room. What began as one man's humiliation is transforming into a collective reckoning. The hostess's empire is crumbling, not under attack from outside forces, but from within the very walls she thought impenetrable. The janitor sits quietly, hands resting on his knees, no arrogance in his face, just an unshakable calm. That calm makes him untouchable. He doesn't need to raise his voice because the truth has already spread like fire in dry grass. And here's the hook you can't ignore. The crowd is no longer laughing at him. They're questioning. Gee, her. The power she wielded like a weapon is now a noose tightening around her own throat. She lashes out, desperation seeping through her polished mask. You're all letting a janitor shame you? He's nothing. He doesn't belong here. Her voice cracks, sharp and shrill, echoing in the hall. But instead of silencing the room, her words ignite it. No, someone counters from the side. He belongs here more than you do. At least he's honest. Applause erupts, not loud, not yet, but steady, building like a storm on the horizon. Staff at the edges of the room, waiters, porters, dishwashers, exchange glances, their spines straightening, their chests lifting. For years they've moved like ghosts. Tonight, through him, they are seen. The pianist, forgotten until now, closes the lid of the grand piano and bows his head, not to her, but to the janitor. It's a gesture that sends another shiver through the crowd. Respect has shifted. The invisible man has become the center. And you feel it, don't you? The taste of reversal, the moment when the script flips, when the powerful find themselves pleading for control. Because now the question is no longer whether she will keep her word, it's whether her word has any value at all. The hostess's mask begins to crack. Her lips tremble, her breath shallow, her eyes darting across the hall like a trapped animal searching for an escape. But there is none. Every gaze is fixed on her. The laughter she once commanded is gone, replaced with judgment, with expectation, with hunger for truth. Enough of this, she tries, her voice brittle. This spectacle has gone too far. She raises her glass as if to reset the night, to remind the room of its place. But no one raises their glass with her. Not one. The silence is heavier than any toast. The janitor finally rises from the piano bench, his presence impossible to ignore. His words are steady, sharp as steel. His was never about me. This was about you. About the way power is used not to uplift, but to humiliate. About promises spoken like toys, discarded when inconvenient. If your word means nothing here, then your empire means nothing everywhere. The guests murmur, some nod, others shift uncomfortably, suddenly questioning the deals, the contracts, the trust they've placed in her. The pillars of her influence tremble. And here's the hook that cuts deepest. The reckoning isn't just hers. It belongs to everyone in that room. Every man and woman who has stayed silent while others were diminished. Every person who benefited from invisibility. Tonight, silence is no longer safe. She feels it, the unraveling. Her pride claws for a shield, but the shield is gone. What do you want from me? She snaps, but the desperation is unmistakable. He doesn't hesitate. Not pity, not applause, accountability. Keep your word, not in jest, not in mockery, but in action. The crowd stirs, voices rising now in agreement. "Keep your word," one shouts, another echoes it. Soon, it's a chant rolling through the marble hall, shaking the chandeliers. "Keep your word, keep your word." Her hands shake. Her carefully built kingdom of fear and influence is dissolving into dust before her eyes, and she knows there is only one way out, through surrender. She swallows hard, her voice trembling. "Very well," she says, barely audible at first, then louder, forced from her lungs. "Very well, I will keep my word, but not as you think, not with empty gestures, with something real." The crowd roars with approval, the chant breaking into applause. For the first time, the room belongs not to her, but to him. And you, watching this, know you've just witnessed a shift, not just in that hall, but in the story of power itself. The applause fades, but the weight of the moment hangs heavy. All eyes are on her. For the first time in her reign of wealth and power, she cannot command the room. She must answer to it. Her voice steadies, though her pride bleeds through every syllable. "I mocked a man who deserves respect. I made a promise it. I thought was a game, but this has become more than me," she exhales, trembling. "So I will keep my word, not with vanity, not with cruelty, but with change." The crowd leans in. Change, a word so rarely spoken in rooms like this. She raises her chin, trying to summon back fragments of control, but her declaration carries something different now, not dominance but concession. From tonight forward, a fund will be established, scholarships for those who never had a stage to prove their brilliance. Doors opened, not locked. Training for my staff, not to serve better, but to be treated better. Wages raised, voices heard, dignity honored. Murmurs spread like wildfire. Some guests nod in approval, others glance at one another nervously, calculating what this means for their own towers of privilege. But none can deny the truth. She has bent under the weight of accountability. The janitor, no, not the janitor, the man, steps forward. His expression is not triumphant, not vengeful. It is steady, unyielding. Then let this night be remembered not for humiliation, but for reckoning, not for a performance, but for a beginning. And here's the final hook, the truth you cannot turn from. Dignity wears no uniform. Respect cannot be chained to wealth. Greatness does not ask permission to exist. He doesn't bow. He doesn't wait for applause. He simply walks back into the shadows where he began. Yet now the shadows cannot contain him, because once you have seen a man's brilliance, you cannot pretend he is invisible again. The crowd is left in silence, haunted, unsettled, changed. Some will leave that hall pretending nothing happened, but others will carry the echo of his music, the memory of his defiance, the sting of their own reflection. And you, watching this, feel it in your bones. Promises mean nothing without action. Power means nothing without truth. Dignity means everything. Now tell me in the comments, twice so it burns into memory, write this phrase, "I will not be invisible," because that's the lesson tonight leaves you with. You are not unseen. You are not forgotten. You are not powerless. The question is, when your moment comes, will you rise and claim it?